Hi guys, how are you all doing? It's been such a long time since my last collection, so I hope that my present collection really works well for you. The first slide here you see says learn 50 idioms, but what this collection essentially is about is that we're going to be touching upon 100 idioms and we're going to cover them in the span of just 100 minutes, which means that I'm going to keep my introduction very short. You can read more about me over here. Unacademy now also has a contribute button, so if you think that my lessons are helping you in any way whatsoever, you can please go ahead and contribute. Now, what I want to tell you first before I start off is that we are going to be covering 100 idioms, okay, जिसको हिंदी में हम मुहावरे बोलते हैं, in the span of just 100 minutes. Essentially, how we will go is that every lesson I will cover 10 idioms and I will explain you their meanings. I will use a sentence using those idioms so it's easier for you to understand them. And I will also have a pretty picture to explain this better to you. My main purpose with this collection, guys, is that these idioms should now be drilled in your head so that कल को कोई अगर ये expression use करे तो आपको लगना नहीं चाहिए कि अरे ये क्या बोल रहा है. You have to make sure that you not only remember them but also use them. As usual, I will be giving you a small exercise or a tip at the end of my lesson, and please make sure you follow it. I hope you enjoy this collection. I'm going to start off with the first idiom that says once in the blue moon. Now, literally, what this means is that every month we have one full moon, right? So there are some. It's actually this phenomenon where after every 2-3 years or so we have 13 full moons. Okay, so that full moon, it's called a blue moon, literally. So कभी अगर आप sky पे देखो और आपको blue color का moon दिखे, that does not mean that the moon is blue. Okay, it's obviously happening because of the different the reflection and refraction of light that happens. I mean, for science students, I'm sure they would know that. So once in a blue moon, because वो इतने सालों में एक बार ही आता है, that's why the expression, it means something that happens very very rarely. So for instance, we'll say like once in a blue moon day I get to spend time with my family. Like especially for me, if I'm staying away from my family, I get to visit my hometown Jammu just once in a blue moon. It happens very rarely. That's what the expression means. Next is beating around the bush. Now I'll tell you a small story for this. So earlier in UK, when they used to go hunting or whatever, one person's job used to be to beat the bush so that जो bush के अंदर birds छुपी हुई हैं वो उड़ के बाहर आ जाए, and the other person who's the hunter can shoot them down. So our actual task is hunting, but the person is literally beating the bush, which is not doing the actual task. So literally this means that you're avoiding the important thing, or you're not coming to the point, or you're avoiding the topic. Like you're just beating around the bush. And what an apt example here. The politician was beating around the bush when citizens demanded a reason for the scam. They're like, "Arey, wo humne ye kiya tha, wo kiya tha." But if you're not coming straight to the point, means that you're beating around the bush. Another word for this is to prevaricate. It's a new word. You can learn it if you wish to. The spelling is PREVARICATE. So beating around the bush also means to prevaricate, to dilly-dally, to not come to the point. The next idiom is chip on your shoulder. This literally does not mean that you have a microchip or uncle chips or something on your shoulder. Chip on your shoulder means that you're one of those, who feels that I'm upset with the world because the world treats me unfairly. Dunya mere se unfair treatment karti hai. And maybe sometimes this can also be because you are underconfident, or because you have some sort of, these feelings of self-deprecation. Yeah, you feel कि I'm not good enough. Jo, I think all of us, we go through these phases. So that's why you are somebody who gets upset, या जो मतलब पुरानी बातें याद रखता है और उसकी वजह से दूसरों के साथ गंदा बिहेवियर करता है. So literally like a chip on your shoulder is when you're upset about something that happened really long ago, तो तुम अभी तक वो अपने साथ रख रहे हो. You're not letting go of it. So the sentence that we've used here is that he has a chip on his shoulder for being abandoned by his friends in school days. तो school days में उन्होंने कभी कुछ किया होगा, अभी तक उनसे नाराज हो. So don't have a chip on your shoulder. Okay. Next one is cry over spilt milk. Spilt milk. It can't get clearer than this, It means that you're complaining about a loss or failure from the past. So the sentence that we've used here is that there is no use of crying over spilt milk. Instead, you should be cautious in future. For instance, you were traveling in the metro and you had kept your wallet in your back pocket and somebody stole it. Okay, and then you come back home and you cry to your mom that, "Oh, mama, somebody stole my wallet." And then she'll be like, "It's okay, beta, now no point crying over spilt milk. Now you make sure that you're more careful in future." So So this is what it means. I don't know why I have used that picture there. Next is piece of cake. Piece of cake, guys, again, this is as simple as it gets. Now, how difficult is it for you to eat a piece of cake? Not difficult at all. In fact, if you're on the diet, then it's difficult for you to control. But yeah, a piece of cake means that something that is very easy to do or something that's very easy to understand. So let's say for a batsman like Yuvraj Singh, hitting sixes is like a piece of cake, you know. Let's avoid the sentence that we've used here, music is my piece of cake. We don't use sentences like this is my piece of cake or whatever. When you want to use piece of cake in a sentence, you should use it with like, okay? For example, like I mentioned, for Yuvraj Singh, hitting sixes is like a piece of cake, or for Sachin, hitting a century is like a piece of cake, or I don't know, you can think and make some sentences on your own. But I think the kind of usage that we have given here, music is my piece of cake, don't say that English is not my piece of cake. Don't use it like that. Next is blessing in disguise. Let's break this down. Blessing, of course, you know what it means, dua. Disguise means chupa hua, okay? Something that is hidden or something that's in a different form. So, एक हमारे लिए एक तरह से ये चीज़ दुआ बनकर आई, या आप हमारे लिए भगवान का रूप बन के आए, समथिंग लाइक दैट व्हाट यू से इन हिंदी. दिस इज व्हाट इट लिटरली ट्रांसलेट्स टू इन इंग्लिश. So something that's good and useful, but initially you thought that, oh, it might not be the right way. For instance, the course that I chose was a blessing in disguise, and I realized that only now. So for instance, let's say you got selected in IIT and you got electrical engineering, whereas you wanted computer science or computer engineering. So you are very skeptical initially that मैं electrical पढूं या नहीं पढूं, but eventually you start studying it and you really like it and you get a very nice job. So you say that getting selected for electrical engineering was like a blessing in disguise for me. That's how you would use it. Next one is come hell or high water, okay, which can also translate into no matter what, ये तो हम करके ही दिखाएंगे. अब चाहे hell आ जाए या high water आ जाए. So no matter what happens, the fact that you're not going to stop and you're going to make sure that you do this is what this means. So a usage like look at the picture also here. So no matter how bad this climb is, this man is going to do that. So I've decided that come hell or high water, I will finish this task. For instance, if I have to make this lesson, I'm like, whether I fall sick or whether there is no light in my house, whatever the problem may be, I'm going to make sure I finish this. So come hell or high water. So instead of saying all of these things, I could have just said, come hell or high water, I'm going to do this. Next is taste of your own medicine. Again, with this, we have a very interesting story. So I'm sure you all have heard of Aesop's fables. Aesop, was there were these collection of stories that were shared by Aesop, who was a storyteller who was believed to have lived in ancient Greece. This is 620 BC ke time pe, and his tales are really famous. Even if you Google it, AESOP, Aesop's fables. So it was one of these Aesop's fables that is the origin of this phrase. So what had happened was that there was a story where a swindler, okay, he tries to sell fake medicine and he claims that that medicine can cure anything. So when he eventually falls sick, then people make him have his own medicine, which he knows it's not going to work. So then that swindler in that ancient Greek story, he ends up having his own medicine. That is how this phrase came about. So when someone receives the same treatment, usually negative, that they end up giving to others, So bad people will surely have a taste of their own medicine. So like, let's say your boss is firing you or like is being very rude to you. But when your boss's super boss scolds your boss, then you're like, oh, my boss had a taste of his own medicine, that sort of a thing. Golden handshake is not literally like a handshake that you do, but what happens is that when a large sum of money is given to a person when they're leaving a company, okay, or when they're retiring, so you give them, like that sort of reverence, a severance bonus sort of a thing. So it's better to offer a golden handshake to the aged employees. Or also sometimes, when the company is shutting down, so then you end up giving them a large amount, okay? Like let's say 2-3 mahine ki salary ek saath de di. So we say, you've given that in the form of a golden handshake. The last one that we have here is mean business. Now, mean does not mean mean or rude, okay? For instance, it means that he or she really means business. Matlab, they're dead serious about what they want to do. So let's say when the new girl came in class and she was attending all the lectures seriously, we knew that she means business, that she wants to top the university. Or in this case, the example that we've used, the border is surrounded by forces who really mean business. So this means that, they make sure that they're really, really dedicated with their work and they're not going to waver. So my test for this is going to be that choose two of your favorite idioms from this and use them in a sentence. Okay, I will look forward to your comments. Thank you so much for watching this. In my next lesson, we will be covering 10 new idioms. I hope you're liking it. Thank you.